Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nick Roloff, live here on a Tuesday afternoon, just a couple days after they won their second game of the year, improved their record to 2-3, and ultimately, I guess, made the Patriots switch quarterbacks as it just came in just about 30 minutes ago that New England is officially switching from Jacoby Brissett to the third overall pick, Drake May. But listen, we don't really care about that. They're still going to stink this year, and the Dolphins have a more pressing issue on their mind, and that's continuing to stack wins before Tua returns potentially in Week 8, and so they can make a postseason run. Hopefully everyone's having a good Tuesday and staying safe if you are living in South Florida. Really hope everyone is taking the precautions to make sure they are safe, because that hurricane is nothing to play with, so hopefully everyone is all good. Also, shout out your city for me down in the comments section. Let me know where you're watching from, and listen, if you're in South Florida, I'm telling you, please be safe. If you're in near the Tampa area, I'd advise for you to get out of that area. That's just me, but hopefully everyone's doing good. Carter says, will I be live for the Heat game tonight? Unfortunately, not going to be live for the Heat game tonight. I have some other things that I have to get done here at Chat Sports, so I know it pains me to not be able to do the first Heat preseason game, but we'll be live for some of the other ones. Originally, we were going to be live on Thursday, but that is no longer happening due to the hurricane. They pushed it back to next Wednesday. Ow. St. Augustine from Miami Bree. Faison watching from London. Jordan's in Buffalo, New York. Kenny's in Deltona. Jay the Fox is in Miami. We got Fort Wayne, Indiana from my guy Magic. Kristen's in the Bay Area. Temple, Texas from Jordan Murray. Massachusetts for Ellery. Las Vegas for Norman. Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Idleland says St. Louis, Missouri. Maryland from Boast Toast. Dustin's in Ohio. Cletus is in New York. AD's in Florida. Logan's in Tampa. Logan, stay safe, my friend. Stay safe. Hopefully you are all good. Tallahassee, Florida. Hopefully everything's going to be good for you. I think it might stay down underneath the panhandle for the most part, so I don't think it's going to hit that bad. Noah's in Temple. Stay safe, please. Stay safe, please. Alaska from Jay. That's awesome. Missouri from Darren. Retro's in the building. What's up, Metro? Retro, good to see you, brother. Richard's in Rochester, New York, my hometown of Rochester, New York. Start the 585. Alaska for Jay. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Marie says, Alabama, listening to the best podcast for the Dolphins. I appreciate the nice comments, my friend. I appreciate the nice comments. 120 people watching right now. And I tell you what, Dolphins were 1-3. Now they're 2-3. Have a bye week this week. And then play the Colts in Week 7 before potentially getting Tua back in Week 8. What is your confidence level in the Dolphins making the playoffs? Playoffs? We're talking playoffs? Yeah, we're talking playoffs. Because even though 2-3 isn't where the Miami Dolphins would want to be, bars, I still believe that there is a chance this team to make the playoffs. Like I said, if they're able to just win this next game against the Colts, you're 3-3, you get Tua back, and then your next 5 games with Tua, Cardinals at home. Should be a win. Bills on the road, tough. Then you play the Rams, not a good football team, decimated by injuries. Raiders, Patriots, both of those at home. Like, you should be able to go 4-1 in that 5-game stretch. So if you're able to beat the Colts coming out of the bye week and you go 5-1 or 4-1 in those games against those 5 teams with Tua, you're 7-4 and you're having a grand old time. So give me your confidence level. I would say mine's at a 6.7. Wouldn't say it's guaranteed. I don't feel very good about it completely, but I feel like there's some momentum building for this team, and I'm going to be an optimistic type of person. Kenny the Penny says 10. D1 says 7.5. Solid 8 from Boast. Retro says 7. Yeah, I said a lot of good confidence from the people. Cullen, 1 to 10, not your confidence. If you had to predict it, what number would you give it for the Dolphins to be in the postseason?
Ooh, that's a good question. If I had to predict a number to get the Dolphins to the postseason, I'll go 6.2.
So you're a little bit lower than me, but you're still in the 6s range. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, the reason is, obviously in the AFCs, I almost said the NFCs, AFCs, the Bills have kind of come back down to earth a little bit. They've lost 2 straight.
Not come back to earth. I said before the year I didn't think the Bills were that good of a football team. I stand by that statement, and we'll explain why in just a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time. The best way to get your tickets, if you're going to a live sporting event like the Dolphins or the Miami Heat as they return to action the next couple of weeks here, or a comedy show, concert, it does not matter. You can get $20 off your first purchase when you go to Game Time, download the app, create an account, and use code ChatSports. You get to see a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. Also, all-in pricing, my favorite feature, which will show you the total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. Like I said, download the app, use code ChatSports, CHATSPORTS, to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only. But again, create that account and use code ChatSports, get $20 off first purchase. What time is it? It's game time, folks. All right. Back to the conversation about the Bills, though. Think about what they've done so far this season. Week 1, beat the Cardinals.
Yep.
Sneaky, frisky team, but I wouldn't say they're a good team. They're frisky, not good. Then
Not
week 2, they beat the Dolphins. A shit show for Miami. They were playing bad football. Tua gets hurt in the third quarter. Week 3, they pounce on the Jaguars, the second worst team in football, if not the worst team in football. And then they've lost in back-to-back weeks to the Texans and Ravens, 2 good football teams. They almost came back against the Texans. The one against Baltimore was ugly. So my thing is, like, they've played 2 confirmed above-average teams. Lost. They've played 3 below-average teams. They won. So are they a team that just beats the bad teams and loses against the good? It's possible. They have a lot of holes on that roster, man. I don't think they're that good. It's not me saying I think the Dolphins are going to win the division. It's just me or less saying that I don't know if they are going to be a team that the Dolphins can't catch in the standings. They're already only 1 game back. In this upcoming week, Dolphins obviously don't play, but the Jets and Bills play on Monday Night Football. So you're either going to see, Cullen, both the Jets and Bills be 3-3 after this week, or you're going to see the Jets go 2-4 and the Bills be 4-2. I'm not that concerned. And with the Dolphins playing in Buffalo in week 9, it gives the Dolphins a chance, if they're able to stack a couple wins here, to win that game in Buffalo and give themselves a chance in the division. So to me, as much as you want to be down on this Dolphins team potentially this year, they still hold their future in their hands, in my opinion.
No, they do.
And that's the exciting part about this all.
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, I'm just going to give you a quick run of the Bills' schedule. You just tell me what you think of it, all right?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Bills and Jets, you already mentioned.
Well, we're about to talk about the Jets and Robert Saleh in a second. But I actually, where's that game?
That is in New York. Or
Meadowlands?
New Jersey, yeah.
I actually think the Jets win. Whenever you fire your head coach, you're going to win the next game at home. That crowd's going to be buzzing. So I think the Bills are going to lose. I think it's going to be 3-3. If I had to predict it, both the Jets and Bills are 3-3 after this week.
Then they host the Titans the week after.
That's going to be a win.
They go on the road to Seattle.
That's going to be a win. I think the Seahawks stink. 5-3.
Fair. Then they host Miami.
We're going to win. 5-4.
And then after that, so they've got the Colts after that. They're on the road to the Colts.
6-4.
But then they go back-to-back, host the Chiefs, host the Niners.
They'll split. I think they'll split those games. 7-5.
And then they're on the road against the Rams.
Rams stink, dude.
They do
8-5.
And then they are on the road against Detroit.
8-6.
Then they host the Patriots.
9-6.
Then they host the Jets.
I can lose both of them. 10-6.
And then they're on the road to the Patriots.
Realistically, I probably have the Bills going 11-6.
Realistically, and again, there could be some.
Can the Dolphins get to 11-6? That's going to be a tall task. That means they have to play the rest of the year 9-3, which is possible. It's going to be difficult, but it's possible, especially if they get healthy and Tua comes back playing good football. Listen, they're going to get Bradley Chubb back. But if the Dolphins go 8-4 the rest of the way, I think that's very doable. That's a 10-7 record, and you're in the postseason. How you started, you would be happy if you're playing in a playoff game. That's what I'm saying. Some things never change, folks. The Jets are an absolute joke. Type those FNYJs in the chat. If you didn't know, they fired their head coach, Robert Saleh, today. They're going to go with Jeff Ulbrich as their interim head coach. He was their defensive coordinator. I actually do think that will help them get a win this week, but I don't really think that changes anything for them in terms of the entire season, which we'll talk about in our first segment on today's live show. But I just don't think that it's really going to change much. That team is in disarray. Team is in disarray, man. Team is in disarray.
Let's see. Shout out to Funtime Wolfie. Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Kenny the Penny. Wolfie again. Spam those FNYJs. I'm going to give him some shout outs. Aaron Rodgers is getting too old for football. Dude, he looks weathered. He looks like a guy that is, an old guy playing football behind a bad offensive line with Nathaniel Hackett as his OC.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's a bad crew over there, man.
Again, the Dolphins fans, they've gone through their turmoil this season, and don't get me wrong, sympathize with everything. Could be worse.
Yeah.
The Jets are a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it is a dumpster fire. $5 super chat from Axie. There's a hurricane headed to us. House is all shut up. Stay safe, everyone out there. Yeah, as we've said throughout today's live show so far, if you are living in South Florida, if you're living anywhere in Florida, please be safe. Take every precaution that you possibly can to make sure you're safe, your family's safe. It's a scary situation. I have family. My parents are in Fort Myers, Florida, which is relatively close to where the hurricane is supposed to land in Florida. I think it's supposed to go right into Tampa. I think Fort Myers, where my parents are about 3 hours south of Tampa. So it's going to get dicey in South Florida, man. If you're living in Miami, I really hope everyone is staying safe. It is nothing to play with. If you need to evacuate, please. Don't try to survive, because I think I read somewhere, Colin, that this is one of the largest, top 5 hurricanes ever recorded.
Yeah.
Category 5 simply don't happen often. Winds up to 180 miles per hour, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And I also thought I read that there's a possibility that, in Tampa, standing water of 12 feet is possible. 12 feet.
Yeah. Our thoughts go with everybody out in the Florida area. Please evacuate if you can. Yeah, really scary situation that obviously safety comes first. Don't be prideful when it comes to this stuff. Obviously, everyone's got their own different situations, but we wish all y'all the best down in South Florida, because it's serious.
Prayers for Tampa, prayers for Southeast, Southwest Florida. Literally the whole state. Doesn't matter where you are. The entire Southeast region is going to be affected in some capacity. But, man, those South Florida areas, mid to South Florida, this going to get dicey, man. And I just really hope everyone stays safe here. We wish you guys the absolute best here at Dolphins Today. We do have a loaded show to come up here. We have 4 segments to talk about here. We're going to have a lot of fun, news and rumors. We got Dolphins Q&A, some changes during the bye week, and then Dolphins trade targets. But if you want the stream to start, let's hit that like button, folks. We have 150 people watching, only 37 likes. Can we get to 75 likes? That's only 40 likes away. Hit that thumbs up icon if you want the stream to start. I mean, the stream has started, but you want the actual content that we have prepared for you guys. to start. Hit that thumbs up icon. When we get to 75, we'll get it started. There's some more likes. We're 24 away. 24 away, baby. Let's go. Hit that thumbs up icon for me. Let's get today's show started because I am excited for it. As we do get a $2 super chat from Idle Lamb, I believe Tua will lead us to at least one win. At least one, brother man. If he starts week 8 against Arizona, he's going to get us multiple wins.
He clarified in the comments.
Okay.
Playoff win.
Oh, okay. I hope so, man. I hope so. Listen, I don't know. The AFC is significantly better than the NFC. There's no debating that. I'm thinking of, let's just say this, Cullen.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Ravens win the AFC North. Would you agree with that?
Ooh, yeah. Probably.
Steelers, I'm out on.
Yep.
They're better than the Bengals. And, the Browns are a dumpster.
Browns are.
So the Ravens are the AFC North. Let's say the AFC South is the Texans, no questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
That division stinks. AFC East toss up, probably going to be the Bills because they got a head start on us. And then the West is going to be the Chiefs. So, listen, if the Dolphins make the postseason, they're going to go on the road. And those are 4 tough places to play. If you want Miami to get a playoff win this year, you're going to have to probably try to get matched up with the Texans. Because I say that because you'd be playing in a dome. Houston plays in a dome. They're probably the least scary as well in terms of a fan base. Mm-hmm. Kansas City is hostile, as we saw last year. Buffalo is always hostile. Baltimore's hostile. And they play an interesting brand. So, if the Dolphins make the playoffs, I know we would just be happy to make it after starting 1-3, but you really want to be matched up against the Houston Texans if you want to get a playoff win. But maybe, who knows? Maybe the Dolphins end up going on a crazy hot streak. They win the division, and they're hosting a playoff game. Crazier things have happened, folks. Like I said, here's what's up on the show coming up. You saw it right there. We got 4 fun segments on tap for all of you. The stream needs 10 likes until we get into our segments. News and rumors, Q&A, bye-week changes, trade targets. We got 64 likes. We need to get to 75 to start today's show. And we have got a couple super chats, so I'll remind everyone what we're doing for the entire month of October. The MVP of the month of October gets this Dan the Man Marino signed football. You see the signature there, Dolphins logo. You see over here too, the 2 Super Bowls, the Establishment Day, Dolphins. You see the authentication there, but not only here, as well in the bag. So listen, it's a real Dan the Man signed football. The MVP for the entire month will get this football. Right now it is David Breakount sending $300 on our Week 5 watch party. Appreciate him. Not the MVP of this stream, but the MVP of the month. You can use some of the off time where not everyone is here to get a little bit of a lead right here if you want. That's what I'm saying. All right, 1 like away from the show getting started. Who's going to be that 75th like? Who's going to be that 75th like? We got to 75, so it's time to get up and at 'em with today's show. All right, on today's show here at Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, we have a lot of topics to discuss. We'll start with this. The New York Jets fire their head coach, Robert Saleh. Miami Dolphins injury news after Week 5 for their final practice during the bye week. And then Skylar Thompson, is he returning to the Dolphins soon? But before we get into it, the Jets, they're the worst. They fire their head coach. They're an absolute dumpster fire. If you hate the New York Jets over in Meadowlands as much as I do, hit that thumbs up icon. I want this to be the most liked video in Dolphins Today history because everyone should hate the Jets here at the channel. All right, we'll start with the news on Robert Saleh, as I mentioned. The original report came in from Ian Rappaport, but Adam Schefter had the note on who is replacing Robert Saleh. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich is being named as the interim coach, and that is who is going to be taking over for the Jets. And I got to be honest, folks, I actually think this is a bad thing for the Dolphins and really the entire AFC East, because when you think of what the Jets' issues have been over the past 3 or 4 seasons, you can blame a lot on Zach Wilson, but one thing has been very certain and clear. They've had a really good defense over the past 3 seasons. They just can't score. Now, they still can't score the football, but I think Robert Saleh is a bad coach. I've been saying that. I said it before the season that I predicted an 8-9 record for the New York Jets, even though other people and media heads were predicting 11-6 and them winning the division. And they were the favorites to win the division. I never saw that happening because I thought Robert Saleh was a horrific football coach. And ultimately, the Jets felt the same way in Camden after having a 20-36 record over the past 3 or 4 seasons. And it's unfortunate because I don't think it get worse than that. Like, I don't think there's a world that Jeff Ulbrich comes in and is a worse coach than Robert Saleh, which means the New York Jets are automatically getting better. I also think this adds another point of intrigue in the Davante Adams saga. I think this firing of Robert Saleh makes a trade a lot more likely for the Jets to acquire Adams. We've seen the Jets offense struggle. They have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Allen Lazard, but they've been heavily linked to Davante Adams as him and the Raiders look to get a deal done to move him out somewhere else. And I think the Jets are the most likely landing spot. And I think one of the reasons why Saleh was canned was he might not have wanted the trade for Davante Adams. Give more power to Aaron Rodgers in that locker room than he already has. And it certainly seems like there is a lot. So to me, I think an Adams trade might be happening in the next 2 or 3 days, and I think he might be a New York Jet. And it's interesting to note all of this information, by the way, because when you think about the standings and where Miami ranks after 5 weeks, they have the same record as New York. They're both 2-3. The Jets do have the better divisional record. New York's 1-0 inside the AFC East, only beating New England. Miami is 1-1, splitting with the Bills and New England. So that's why they are behind the New York Jets here. But the Bills and Jets do play on Monday Night Football this week, which will be a fascinating game for a lot of different reasons. One, we'll see if the Jets go to 3-3 and tie up that division lead and actually jump to the top of the division by beating the Bills, so they'll both be 3-3, or they go 2-4, and well, the season in New York might be over earlier than expected, and Miami gets up to that number 2 ranking inside the division. But either way, I think it gives the Jets a better chance to win this week. Coaches who get fired and then the interim head coach steps in, I don't know if this is a real stat, but it's just based off vibe checks, always play better that following week. So we'll see what ultimately happens between New York and Buffalo, but I do think the Jets are more of a threat in the AFC now than they were 24 hours ago. All right, let's start talking about the Dolphins and ruin those Jets, man. I can't stand them. We got some injury news to talk about during the bye week because the Dolphins did hold their final practice of the week. They're going to give the players the rest of the week off. They'll reconvene next week as the coaches still work to get a game plan ready for Indianapolis, but they'll give the players a little bit of a break. And these are the 8 players that were not seen at practice earlier today. Calais Campbell has been a godsend for the Dolphins, and I believe he is just going to be veteran rest is what they'll call it. Long Jr. missed a couple of games ago against the Titans with a hamstring injury. He played last week. He's probably just getting some extra rest. We know Holland's going to miss this upcoming game against the Indianapolis Colts, so he was not there. Poyer missed this last game. I think Poyer will be fine and ready to go after. Ramsey and Fuller both a little banged up. We know Achan's in concussion protocol, and then obviously Malik Washington, who has missed some time this year. He was not spotted at practice either. Just some of these minor injuries. Not really too worried about any of them, if we're going to be completely honest. Outside of the players we already know that are going to be out first time, Achan, Holland, everybody else I would expect to be playing in that Week 8 game against the Colts. All right, excuse me, that was Week 7, by the way. But we do want to transition to quarterback because Mike McDaniel, at his press conference late yesterday, actually still named Tyler Huntley as the starter for the Miami Dolphins, even if Skylar Thompson is healthy. Obviously, Huntley became the starter after Thompson had that rim injury, but I thought they were going to do that anyway, to be honest, because Skylar Thompson looked really, really bad at quarterback against the Seahawks. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But either way, there was some intrigue to see if there would be a change in quarterback with Skylar being healthy. That will not be the case. Huntley will remain the starter. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel because even though the Dolphins are on a bye week, we're still going to have you covered with everything surrounding the Fins. We're also going to be live for every single Miami Dolphins football game, regardless of record. So hit that sub button, join us because we got a long season ahead, and I feel something brewing in terms of a little run here. All right, let's see what Mike McDaniel exactly said on Huntley, because he says that I feel as it stands right now. I feel very happy with the way Snoop is playing. I thought he went from managing the offense, so to speak, his first outing to thought he was executing the offense, and that's to his credit. So I feel pretty good about how fast he's developed, and I would guess to forecast continuing that development process with the offense as the operation was better, but not as good as it could, and you hope that it would be, and there's an improvement in that. And I think Huntley's been serviceable in his 2 games so far. It's been very clear in that first game against the Titans that he did not get the full playbook. He had a very limited amount of plays at his disposal, and maybe that's because he didn't grasp the full understanding of the Mike McDaniel offense, but maybe he did. But what I would expect and what we saw in week 5 against New England was there a bigger playbook for Huntley at his disposal. And then with another week here and a bye week, they're going to install a game plan specifically for him against Indianapolis. So I would expect Huntley to have, once again, probably his best game as a Dolphin against the Colts, who, by the way, have a bottom 5 defense in the National Football League. This is the right decision. And we'll talk about Skylar Thompson at the end of today's show, but even if he is fully 100% healthy, there is nothing holding him back from that rib injury. I think you still have to start Tyler Huntley, someone who was 3-6 in his career as a starter in Baltimore, now 1-1 as a starter in Miami. I know the ugly was not pretty, and the offense still had its struggles against the New England Patriots, but Huntley is starting to look better. The Dolphins' offense looked better in terms of picking up first downs, moving the football. They still need to capitalize when they get deep into opponent territory, but that's a story for a different day. The offense is progressing with Tyler Huntley. Let him go out there and play against the Indianapolis Colts, one of the worst defenses in football. Let him cook, and then hopefully two will be ready to go against the Cardinals in Week 8. All right, we are sponsored by Game Time, the number one way to get your tickets. And when the Miami do return home in Week 8 against the Arizona Cardinals, I suggest if you want to go to that game, you use Game Time because they have the lowest price guaranteed. They specialize in last-minute tickets, and it's the easiest way to purchase your tickets. And especially with new features like Game Time Picks, that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. All-in pricing allows you to see the total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. And remember when I said lowest price guaranteed? Yeah, if you find a seat in the same exact seat section row at your live event, cheaper on a different service, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They make your life so much easier when you're going to games. So download the app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only, but again, create an account and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Shout out Game Time. What time is it? It's game time. Let's shift the conversation to Odell Beckham Jr. because he returned from Miami in Week 5 against New England, played 11 snaps, got targeted once, didn't go so well, and he's talked about how he feels after this injury. He said he's a little sore, didn't even get to play that much, but it was really more of the build-up to the game and how hard I practice. It's all about building up the calluses. These guys and everyone else across the league have gone through a full training camp, had gone through 4 weeks of the season, far, far ahead of me in conditioning and feeling what it feels like to play football at the highest level. And I think this is very mature of Odell Beckham Jr. He understood, even if coming back, he wasn't going to play a lot in this first game because Berrios, Malik Washington, they have a better grasp of the offense. They've been relatively more healthy, been practicing more, playing in games, and it reflected in Odell Beckham Jr. only being on the field 11 times on Sunday. And he was only targeted once. I said it didn't go so well. Well, you can say that. It was an interception. When you look back at that play, by the way, and if you watch the All-22, Huntley was a decision for him. He had a lone wide receiver to the left in OBJ. He had a bunch of players to the right, and it was a twofold situation. When he gets the snap, he reads the defense in that split second. He either throws the quick slant to Odell Beckham Jr. or he drops it out to the side to Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane for a little bubble screen, and you get blockers there. Well, what happened is he saw off coverage from Christian Gonzalez. He was playing 10 yards off, so he figured, all right, quick, easy 6-yard slant to OBJ. Well, unfortunately, Christian Gonzalez looks to be a top 3 corner in football and an all-pro type guy in New England. He read it, jumped the route, and intercepted it. I wouldn't blame it on Huntley or OBJ. I would really just say it was a great play by Gonzo over in New England. But I'm not really that concerned from Odell Beckham Jr.'s perspective. We always knew it was going to take a little bit longer for him to get fully ready, acclimated to this offense. I think we're really going to see the OBJ impact on this Dolphins team when Tua Tagovailoa is over at quarterback. And although those two have not had a lot of time to work together, develop chemistry, get a full rapport, but when you think of now having a full wide receiver core of OBJ, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle with QB1, the playmaker, the Chris Paul of the NFL, where he's just not flashy, just playmaking, dishing it out, diamond, finding those soft spots in the defense. I think that's when OBJ is really going to be a difference maker for this football team and really make this offense really pop out. Show the love to OBJ by spamming OBJs down in the comment section. I think the veteran is going to ultimately have a really big second half of the year when Tua returns and he gets fully healthy again. And I want him to know that we support him here over at Dolphins Today. So spam those OBJs down in the comment section. All right, we'll round out today's show with a Skylar Thompson update because at today's practice, he was seen throwing the football 10-plus yards for the first time since that rib injury he suffered in Week 3 against the Seattle Seahawks. It has not been the best time for Thompson this year, playing in about 4 quarters, completing 63% of his passes, throwing for 187 yards. It was not a clean procedure in that game against Seattle before Tim Boyle had to come in the final 15 minutes, But I do want to say this, and this is why I want to talk about Skylar Thompson. When he is fully healthy, ready to go, maybe it's in Week 7 against Indianapolis, maybe it's not. But Tim Boyle, who is on the practice squad, gets elevated for the game on Sunday. Once that happens, I think Tim Boyle, we won't hear from him again. I think Skylar Thompson's going to be your backup quarterback to Tyler Huntley. And when Tua returns, I think they might ultimately get rid of Tim Boyle and move Skylar Thompson to the practice squad. I think the Thompson experiment is over, and I think once Tua is back, they're going to keep Tyler Huntley as their backup quarterback moving forward for at least this season. So Thompson, it sucks that he could potentially lose his job due to injury, but once Tua comes back in 2 or 3 weeks and they designate him off IR, I would guess the corresponding move is going to be releasing Skylar Thompson on to the practice squad, or hopefully getting back to the practice squad. Maybe another team picks him up. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because any type of move the Miami Dolphins make, we will have you covered. So hit that sub button. We do a lot of work here at Dolphins Today. I'm Nick Roloff. If you're still here, you still like what we're doing, so make sure you hit that sub button. All right, we had a $3 super chat from my guy Retro. Very rare that you see the number 3, but I'm guessing he did it for number 3, Dwayne Wade. Retro, another one of my Heat fans as well. If the Fins go 5-1 against the Colts, or between the Colts and Pats games, playoff runs live, I'll say 4-2. I got no problem saying 4-2. I mentioned a couple times if they go 5-1 coming out of the bye in their next 6 games, their record would be 7-4. That's obviously pretty good. But if they go 4-2 and they're 6-5, they're above 500 going into the final 6 games of the year. Like, you'd go 4-2 in those games. In those final 6, and guess what? You're 10-7. That's probably good enough to make the postseason. So the way I'm looking at it, you go 4-2 in this 6-game stretch, you go 4-2 in the final 6-game stretch, and you might be good. You might be good. And I think that final 6-game stretch might be easier than we originally anticipated, folks. Think about this. We knew the end of the season schedule was going to be more difficult than the opening half of the year. But now with games in Cleveland, which thought of was going to be a tough game, they stink. They're horrible. The 2 games against the Jets to end the year, 2 of the final 3 weeks. I don't think New York's that good of a football team. I think you would be able to win those 2 games as well, especially if that last game really means something. You also play a game late against the Texans, against the Packers, against the 49ers. Those are the final 6 games. Packers don't look as good. Maybe you sneak one out on the road over there. They've looked interesting. They're 3-2, but I mean, they've been very up and down, Colin.
They have. Some separate NFL news just came in. Just want to let you know. Devin White's been released by the Philadelphia Eagles, linebacker. Just kind of wanted to throw that out there, get your initial reaction. I mean, Devin White's been bad this year.
Yeah, well, he hasn't played, I don't think.
Yeah, well, he was a healthy scratch last week.
He's been a healthy scratch, I think, every week.
I thought he may have played week 1. I could be wrong. But
there's something odd that went over there with Devin White. Maybe some Dolphins fans say they want Devin White. I would say no to that. You already have a good linebacker room of David Long Jr., Jordan Brooks, Anthony Walker Jr., and then you also have Duke Riley there with Channing Tindall on your practice squad. Not actually practice squad. He's on the 53-man, excuse me, but he's a healthy scratch every week. I think Devin White's cooked. No need for him to be in Miami. I would not talk about him as someone who can make this team. But as Retro says, playoff run might be alive. What is your confidence level in the Dolphins making the postseason? 12 games left, folks. Crazy to say. I will say this, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
The longest offseason in sports, not by time, but what it feels like as a fan, is the National Football League. Would you agree with that?
It's up there for sure.
The longest actual gap is, I believe, is college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually look at a monthly calendar, because it ends in the first week of April. It doesn't return until November, but some teams are done playing in February.
Yeah.
And then or the first week of March to November. Now I'm second guessing myself if it's actually the longest tenure time. But I feel like NFL, like the offseason's so long, and then the season gets here, and it's like, holy shit, we're already in week 6.
Yeah.
Like if you told me week 1 when the Dolphins beat the Jaguars was last week, I'd have believed you.
Yeah. No, literally, I was on the phone with a friend of mine as I was driving home yesterday, and I was like, hey, by the way, we're almost halfway through the NFL season. We've already had a round of bye weeks. Like, it's insane how quickly it just goes by in a blink of an eye. Comparatively, too. Like, compare how long the offseason is or how it feels compared to, like, in the season, it's night and day.
Yeah, we're going to blink again, and it's going to be week 15. And it's going to be like, holy shit.
Yeah. Like, we're going to wake up. It's going to be Thanksgiving. It's like, what the heck happened here?
Yeah. Jeez, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is, like, sneaky close. Like, months, 6 weeks?
Something like that.
That actually checks out because I think week
6 weeks,
13 is that week. Yeah, week 13 is Thanksgiving week.
There you go.
And it's week 6. So, technically 7, I suppose.
Close enough. I'll give it to you.
Technically 7. All right, we want to do a mailbag here. We have over 230 people watching. If you want to get onto the mailbag, hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat to get on the live show and get your question answered. A Super Chat guarantees you to be on the mailbag. Hashtag Dolphins is at the mercy of producer Skybox Cullen. And another added potential reason why you might want a Super Chat, we've told you, for the entire month of October, we are keeping track of every Super Chat that comes in. Whoever sends in the most donations to the channel to help us grow, everything's greatly appreciated, gets this Dan Marino signed football shipped out to him. We have the certificate of authenticity right here as well, so we're not bogusing you here. Right now, the leader in the clubhouse is David Recount. He sent in $300 on our Week 5 watch party that started off our October streams. But just in case you wanted the Super Chat, this could be the light at the end of the tunnel if you end up sending more than everyone else here at the channel. But if you just want to get on the mailbag, Super Chats guarantee that as well. See, I don't know if we have any questions yet, Colin.
We do not.
This is disgusting.
None.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
CJ has the question. There's one.
There we go. Gotta get some questions in, man.
Gotta get the question. Do we have a solution?
Yes.
Okay.
We're not gonna have that issue again.
Okay. Good to know.
We're fixed there.
We're fixed.
We're fixed. Yeah.
Adam Wainwright.
We were unfortunately one of the beta testers of what is now the most reliable.
A finished product. Yeah.
Yes. We got you. Double. Appreciate you. Ask whatever, man. It could be anything.
Interesting question by Double. Very interesting question.
Chances are it's going to get in there.
I actually think that is too much for you guys to give up.
Rice, Worthy, that could be an interesting question, but you got to use hashtag Dolphins.
Yeah, it's a good question. Use hashtag Dolphins on there.
Could be anything. Could be...
You could ask about my favorite candy. Have I ever said my favorite candy out loud?
I don't think we've had that conversation, which is weird for us because
we do talk about some random shit. What do you think my favorite candy is? You won't be able to guess it.
I won't because you, if nothing else, are not basic. So you would definitely have like a candy that's you would defend to the death, but it's not going to be like a throw a generic candy out there like a Skittles.
Yeah, it's not going to be a Reese's. It's not going to be one of those top tier ones.
No.
It's pretty well known, pretty big name.
Okay.
But I don't think you would hear I think I'm in the 1% that would have this as their favorite candy.
That's fair.
I think there's a legit 1% out there that would have it.
Let me ask you this. Is it chocolate or like a candy?
There is chocolate involved.
Oh, chocolate involved. Ooh. Okay.
You can't look into that any way you want, by the way.
Okay.
It's just chocolate involved.
Just chocolate is involved in this candy.
Correct.
Okay.
It could be only chocolate. It could be just rarely chocolate.
The thing is like, because that can mean a lot of different things. Kenny says Milky Way. That's his guess. That's not mine, but.
Well, I want Cullen to guess, and then I'll reveal.
Okay. I have legitimately no idea. Like, because I don't think me and Rolly really dove into the fact of sweets, other than the fact that he likes cookies more than ice cream, which is crazy.
Cookies are the best dessert. You can't change my mind on that.
That is crazy.
Cookies are my kryptonite. I try to eat healthy, but as soon as cookies get brought involved, it's over.
I don't know. Cookies and cream Oreos or Hershey's or whatever.
That is actually a freaking fantastic candy bar, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite candy is Milk Duds.
Milk Duds. You're a Milk Dud guy?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Cullen looked at me in disgust. I don't think he likes Milk Duds.
Milk Duds is like the old man candy.
Old man.
It isn't.
I actually disagree. Old men can't eat Milk Duds. They're too chewy. Their teeth will fall out.
I feel like that's one of the oldest candies in the game. That's got to be one.
Milky Ways are very, very good. Close up.
See, South to West is like.
I love Milk Duds.
Yeah.
Close number 2, Three Musketeers.
That was interesting.
I love Three Musketeers. Then I would probably go into the Reese's area, and then I would probably also find my way into that cookies and cream bar you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? Talk about a Kit Kat bar or a Twix. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Cullen, I'm going to guess yours.
Okay.
I want the same courtesy. I need one guess. I think I already know what it is, but
okay.
if you...
I don't think I know what it is. So
I already know you're for you then.
Okay.
I
know what my favorite chocolate bar is, if you want to guess that.
No. So you don't know if a chocolate bar or anything related to chocolate is your favorite candy.
I know chocolate isn't. I know what my favorite chocolate bar is, but it's not chocolate. So I'll give you that hint.
So your favorite candy is non-chocolate?
Yep.
Okay, good, because the answer, and I'm not bullshitting you here, that I knew already that your favorite candy is Sour Patch Kids.
That's a good one, but it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. It's my brother's actual favorite candy. But it is a good one, but it's not my favorite.
I don't know, what is it then?
It would be the Nerds, like clusters or whatever.
Yeah, you're a Sperry guy.
I am a Sperry guy. Dude, when he brought those in the office, I was like, oh, this is a game changer.
All right, do we have enough questions for the mailbag?
Let's see.
Not that everyone is not exhilarated by our favorite candy.
Right. No, for sure. For sure.
Ooh, South to West is $100,000. I tell you what, $100,000.
Oh, $100,000 bars.
We got a couple questions coming here from Cheesemonger and my guy Frank O'Connor. What's up, Frank? Good to see you, my friend.
We got some questions.
We got some questions.
We got some questions.
We have enough time to get into the mailbag. And boy, do we have to get in this mailbag, because my New York Mets play in 36 minutes. No. 26 minutes. Oh, no. We're still going to be live when that game starts. Shambles, rolling. All right, with that being said, let's get into the mailbag. We got a Miami Dolphins mailbag on today's show. On a bye week this weekend, but I still want to answer some questions surrounding the Fins as we load up for Week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts. But before we get into some of your questions, I want to make sure you're following us over on Instagram. We do have an IG page. It's Dolphins Today IG. Handles at the bottom of your screen right now. We have 416 followers. I'd like to get to 500 before Week 7 against the Colts. And if we get to 500 before the Colts, we'll do a little giveaway on that live show. So make sure you're following us over there. We do post content in between each of our videos here on the channel. So if you want more wall-to-wall coverage 24 hours, make sure you're on our Instagram. Kenny the Penny with a question. Is Tua the starter next year? I think he is, yeah. I understand, and this is actually a great question because this will be pondered in the offseason, especially if Tua comes back, looks like shit, or if Tua comes back and gets hurt again. But I would assume this. You gave Tua a 4-year extension. You're paying him $43 million per season, $212 million total. Now, it's not fully guaranteed, so there are a couple out avenues earlier than the 4 seasons. But unless there is a catastrophic injury or he looks like Bryce Young out there when he returns from injury, there is no way you don't give him at least 1 year on this contract. Now, what you might do this offseason is invest that quarterback, whether that be a pick on day 2 in the 2nd or 3rd round. Hell, maybe even a 1st-round pick if you feel comfortable at a guy that is available in that round. But I do believe they will have Tua be the starter in 2025, but they'll invest in case that year doesn't work out or he gets hurt again and they have a foreseeable long-term option there. Think about what the Packers have been doing, drafting Aaron Rodgers when they already had Brett Favre, drafting Jordan Love when they already had Aaron Rodgers. Like, that is a strategy that has worked out for other teams in the past, and I could see Miami taking it that way. Retro Dolphins. Who gets the next big payday in the offseason between Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland? This is also a fascinating question, and both are not paid right now. Jalen Phillips playing, this is his 4th year. His 5th-year option was picked up. So Miami does not need to pay him this offseason. They could play out next year on the 5th-year option. They didn't do that with Jalen Waddle. They paid him after year 3, so they have him locked in for the next 4 seasons, which was very smart. Actually, 5 seasons this year, next year, and then the 3-year extension after that. Javon Holland's not. He is an unrestricted free agent this upcoming year. And now Miami will be very intriguing to see what they do with Javon Holland. They can do one of two things. They can try to extend him after the season. They can try to let him hit free agency and then match whatever offer he gets. Or they can simply franchise tag him. Now that you have paid Tua, there is really no other player set to hit free agency this year worth franchise tagging outside of Javon Holland. So if you feel like he is going to leave you, well, and you don't want him to leave, you could franchise tag him for $15, $14 million, whatever the number ends up being, and keep him on the team. I will actually make the bold prediction that none of these two guys gets a big payday by Miami. I think they let Jalen Phillips play out the 5th year, trying to return from that knee surgery, and I think they franchise tag Javon Holland. That would be my bold prediction for the next 365 with the Miami Dolphins. More questions to answer here, but let me know. Dolphins 2-3, bye week, chance to make a run coming out of the bye if they're able to beat Indianapolis and get Tua back in week 8. What's your confidence level in making the playoffs? Scale at 1 to 10. Cheesemonger, if we were to fire Mike McDaniel, who should we replace him with? Now, intriguing question, because there's 2 different ways you can go about finding a new head coach. Would you like to have the same type of coach come in, whether it be an offensive-minded, player-friendly head coach? Maybe you go with a more defensive-minded head coach. Maybe you go with a guy that is just a motivator of men and can lead a locker room, and then just hire 2 really good defensive and offensive coordinators. Now, I don't think Mike McDaniel will be fired. He got an extension through 2028 before the season started, and as long as the Dolphins don't go, 2-15, he probably doesn't get fired. So I think Mike McDaniel stays, but if they did fire him and they were looking to replace him with someone, my number 1 pick would probably be Mike Vrabel. Frank O'Connor coming in. Hey, do you think we should tank part of the year to get a good pick, but not necessarily a top 5 pick? Reason I ask is we don't look good so far. Frank, well, here's my thing. If you are going to tank, then you should tank. You're not going to tank part of the year. Like, if you want to lose every game, lose every game. But my thing is this. The Dolphins have a relatively easy schedule in the next 6 games coming out of the bye week. They just do. It's very simple. They play the Colts. They play the Cardinals. They play the Bills, the Rams, the Raiders, the Patriots. Those are 6 winnable games, and that game against Indianapolis is the only game that you might be without Tua moving forward. Like, if you're able to win against the Colts, who have a bottom 5 defense in football, and you move to 3-3, and then you get Tua back with a very easy 5-week stretch against bad teams in the Cardinals and Rams, bad teams in the Raiders and Patriots, a 5-1 stretch in the next 6 is very, very much on the table. And if that ultimately happens, there will be no tanking. We will only be thinking postseason. I don't want to tank whatsoever, because even if the Colts beat the Dolphins and they're 2-4, they get Tua back in week 8 and go 4-1 in that next 5 games, you're still 6-5 and you're still in the playoff hunt. I'm not a proponent of tanking this year. I think this team has juice, good momentum flowing, and with Tua on the return on the horizon, playoffs is also on the horizon. You should make sure you are started with Prize Picks, the number 1 daily fantasy sports app and platform in North America. I play Prize Picks on a daily basis, and it makes watching my favorite teams play on the weekends very much more enjoyable. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts, like Taco Tuesday, for example. Today, each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season and other sports seasons like hockey, basketball, baseball. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. I have an entry for Week 6 in the football world, even though Dolphins aren't playing. We still got some entries here. Taking the more than on Jaden Daniels, 221.5 passing yards. More than Darnell Mooney, 53.5 receiving yards. And less than on Breece Hall, 53.5 rushing yards. 3-player entry to win 5 times my money. But with specific entries, you can win up to 100 times your money. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win that lineup to get the $50. It's guaranteed. Appreciate Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, so thank you, Frank, for asking that question about the tanking. I don't think they should tank whatsoever, but I appreciate you coming in with that question, Frank. Dubbo, looks like he's a Steelers fan coming in. Would y'all accept the trade for Russell Wilson, Van Jefferson, and a 6th or 7th for OBJ? I think OBJ is going to be good in Miami. But if they didn't accept that, I would have to strangle Chris Grier. Just kidding. FBI, I was kidding. I would never do such a thing. If he doesn't fix the O-line, maybe. Okay, back to the real here. Van Jefferson is not as good as OBJ. But when you factor in you're getting him, Russell Wilson, who, by the way, stinks, but it is what it is, plus a pick, I think the Dolphins would have to accept that because you get someone a little less of a wide receiver 3, you get a certified backup quarterback, and you get a draft pick. I absolutely would accept that, and I would expect Chris Grier to accept that as well. You just simply got to do that. All right, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because for more Dolphins news, rumors, and daily content, we are your place. We had you covered this entire bye week. We're not slowing down because this week 7 matchup against the Colts is very, very close. So make sure you're subscribed because we'll be live for that game as well as having you covered on every single game week. Little question here. Would you accept the trade for Jalen Waddle? No, I would not. I don't really know what could be offered for Waddle and which way I would accept. As long as Waddle isn't requesting a trade, the Dolphins ain't trading them because it's very difficult to come by the wide receivers production that Waddle's had. Now, I don't know if he'll reach 1,000 yards this season. He's gotten off to a slow start. No Tua Tagovailoa. But he's had 1,000 yards in each of the first 3 seasons of being a National Football League player. That just doesn't happen often. The only player that has really started off on that trajectory, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans. Like, it doesn't happen often where someone just consistently puts up 1,000 yards since entering the league. And with Tyreek Hill getting older, Jalen Waddle is the future of this wide receiver core. So unless someone's coming in with an absolute massive offer to where they're offering like 2 first-round picks and the Dolphins are in a spot as a franchise that is horrific and they just could use all the draft capital they can, then no, I am not trading Jalen Waddle. There would be no way I trade him. But if you ask the question about Tyreek Hill being traded, there is a pathway, there is an avenue where that potentially could happen. What do you think, though? While we are in a bye week, what change do the Dolphins need to make the most in order to become a more efficient and winning football team? 2-3 right now. If they want to make the postseason, how does it happen? Drop your one change down below. Lorenzo Flores with the question. Do you think our coach will learn by adjusting the Huntley to have new passing plays for Tua since he was not adjusting to opposing defenses to deep safeties, more running plays, play action? So if you're asking if the Dolphins offense is going to remain similar to where it was with Tua before he ultimately got hurt, it's possible. It's also possible they switch it. I think we saw a light bulb potentially go off in Mike McDaniel's head this past week against New England. I'm being serious. Like, they ran the ball 40 times. 40 designed runs. That is, I didn't fact check this. I kind of wish I did. I'd be willing to go on the limb and say that might be the most in any game coached by Mike McDaniel with the Miami Dolphins. Now I really want to check. Let me know if I'm right or wrong about that in the comment section. And maybe he's just going to start thinking that. This offensive line has had its struggles. Maybe it's not a good pass-blocking offensive line. Maybe they should lean on the run more. And if they do, they have a really good trio in this backfield. Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane when he returns from concussion protocol. Like, this team is good. And then once you really get this opposing defenses to commit to your run game, that's when you hit those play-action passes over the middle of the field and those deep balls. 2 high safeties are going to be a thing consistently against Miami with the speed they have. That's why Odell Beckham Jr. and Jonnu Smith over the middle of the field and making people miss in open space in between the line of scrimmage and the sticks is so very vital. Cheesemonger with a question. Which positions do you think we're thinnest in, and do you propose we sign to fill them? Right now, I would say we're most thin at interior offensive line. Eichenberg, Robert Jones, and Brewer, your 3 starters, but behind them, it's ugly. And then I would probably have to say thinnest from there. It's edge, especially with Jalen Phillips' injury. No Bradley Chubb right now. Emmanuel Ogbah, Chop Robinson, Quentin Bell, Tyus Bowser, and Mo Kamara, year 5. It's not great, Jim. 2 sacks against New England, but everyone gets sacks against the Patriots. Their offensive line is the worst in football. So if you're trying to fill a position during the season, I would think interior offensive line and edge rushers until Bradley Chubb returns. And if he doesn't feel 100%, maybe you still want to sign an edge rusher or trade for one. Make sure you are following us on Instagram. Like I said, we have you covered over there in between each of our videos here on the channel. So if you want 24/7 coverage of the Miami Dolphins, make sure you're subscribed, but following us on Instagram as well. Let's get to 500 before week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts. All right. Woo! 2 segments down, 2 to go. Ba-dum-bum.
Dun, 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 dun. What needs to change the most with the Dolphins, in your opinion?
See, I'm not going to answer this own question that I asked because I got 5 things that the Dolphins should do during the bye week to improve the team. So I'm not going to answer this question. You guys get your answers down below, and then we will get into the show. I know you haven't watched a lot of Dolphins, but you have been here the past 3 Tuesdays? This is the 3rd?
Yeah, I think so.
This is the 3rd Tuesday?
3 or 4, yeah.
No, yeah, it was definitely because the last time you spot filled in 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks ago. Last week you did it for sure. We were scheduled together, and then this week is your week 3, I think. So, based off what you've seen and heard from me and the fan base in the last 3 weeks, what do you think it is for you?
I think Chris Grier has to have some capability as a GM in terms of, like, there might need to be made a change up at GM. Just based on everything that I've seen. I remember specifically during the draft how kind of you were, not again like over the moon like this team was going to be a super team or anything, but you were very confident in this Dolphins team and potentially being, an AFC East division winner, can make the playoffs, can go deep in the playoffs, the whole 9 yards. You thought, there were some holes, don't be wrong, along the offensive line that you talked about and everything else, but you thought for the most part this roster was pretty well constructed. And now we've seen it, and especially ever since Tua went down, it just hasn't lived up to snuff, so to speak.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that is, I wouldn't renege, by the way, on my idea that this roster was well constructed, because I hated the offensive line. I think I was very much open about that.
You were.
And so there was no sugarcoating the offensive line, but when you look across the board, the wide receivers, the running back, Tua, the corners, the safeties, the linebackers, the defensive line, the edge rushers, everything felt like a championship-winning roster if they were able to stay healthy, have good quarterback play, and play better in cold, on-the-road situations. And unfortunately, the offensive line really struggled to start the year. It held the offense back, injury to Tua, and we've yet to see this team really have a chance to be fully healthy playing against top-tier teams. Colin, I'd be fascinated to see what this Dolphins team would be doing right now if Tua ends up sliding, not having that collision with DeMar Hamlin, and they still lose that game in blowout fashion. That's not going to change. You're still losing in a blowout against the Bills, and that would be frustrating. But what happens from there? Because I think Miami could have beat Seattle on the road. I don't think the Seahawks are that good of a team. Just lost to the Giants, for God's sake, at home. So if you have Tua, I think you win that game. I think you win it against the Titans at home. I think you beat the Patriots with Tua. I think you could legitimately be 3-1 right now. Or 4-1, excuse me, if Tua never gets hurt. And that's the thing, and we'd be having a different conversation about this ball club. Obviously, the Bills game wouldn't have changed, but the 3 games after, I think they would have changed.
Yeah. I think just the thing is, the backup quarterback situation is enough, personally, to put, if nothing else, Grier on the hot seat.
I agree. That is one thing that needs to change for the foreseeable future. If Tua Tagovailoa is your quarterback 1, you need to have the best backup quarterback in football every year.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, again, not apples to apples comparison, but the Colts, for example, right? Anthony Richardson was clearly their guy coming in. He gets banged up as he is an injury-prone guy, at least so far throughout his NFL career. Joe Flacco is their backup. Joe Flacco, at least
By the way,
week,
Dolphins said no to Joe Flacco. I'm pretty sure there was a report earlier in the offseason that Joe Flacco was interested in being the backup in Miami, and I'm pretty sure they said no.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Flacco is what he is at this point. He can at least win you games. He can give you valuable, playing time.
He threw for 350 this past week.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. Again, a worser example, and I'm not going to try to defend this guy too much. Mason Rudolph as a backup.
Oh, he stinks.
Better than what the Dolphins have.
That is true, but we saw Mason Rudolph come into a game halfway through, and he, didn't throw the football.
Yeah.
Ran the ball.
Which is fine. Point is, he could run this offense, I feel like, better than so far anyone from Miami has this year.
Yeah, certainly interesting. I'll say that.
I mean, Jameis Winston, another option. He's signed with Cleveland now, but if the Browns ever make the realization that Deshaun Watson's cooked, he's a guy that could probably step in and give you solid production. So it's just, they just didn't do enough. If Tua goes down, which, again, he has a history of doing, and you fall from where you thought you could be a playoff contender at bare minimum to arguably one of the worst teams in football, that's not good enough, and that falls on the GM.
Yeah, it does indeed. All right, let's get into our next segment here, even though my computer is freezing up and I can't see the live chat, which stinks, but
Barry B said he got his football from you.
Oh, let's go, Barry B. Fire me up, baby. Fire me up, Barry.
So he got that.
Good to see Barry B in the chat. I wish I could see the chat.
Yeah. Richard Candiotti says the Miami Dolphins coaches are the next one to get fired. So you're saying McDaniel or...
Keep Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator. He's been great. I like Anthony Weaver.
Yeah.
All right, my computer, I don't know, because you could see the live chat fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my computer. Barry B changed his profile picture, too. Throws a little curveball at me. Hopefully, I can adjust, just like Peter Alonso.
Yeah. Gio says Tim Boyle will also go, but I would love for Miami to make a push and get Cam or Milroe. Tua is great, but his future is not so good health-wise. We need to have a backup plan. I mean, again, I don't know if they're going to push for Cam or Milroe because those guys are probably going first round. I don't know if Miami goes first round QB, but it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, who knows what ends up happening.
I mean, honestly, it could be one that could be a future segment. Rolly is which day two, QB prospect should the Dolphins target?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll be doing that for sure. I'm doing that for sure. All right, what we're doing for sure is talk about some changes that need to be made during the bye week for Miami. So let's get right into that show. The Miami Dolphins are currently on their Week 6 bye, but there are some things that need to be addressed during this 2-week hiatus before they play against the Indianapolis Colts in Week 7. And I have 5 specific things that I'd like to see Miami do to help them come out of this bye week nice out of the gates and running fast, as Tyler Jones once said. But make sure you are sharing this video because we want to make this the largest Dolphins channel on YouTube. And the best way to continue to grow this is, share it to your friends, family. Put it on Facebook, Twitter, X, doesn't matter. Example, click the share button, select the Twitter/X icon, click post to Twitter. X. Really help us out here. We put out daily content and are live for every game, so help us out by sharing today's show. All right, the number one thing that I'd like to see incorporated during the bye week, incorporating Jalen Wright more into the offense. And how could you not, after the rookie 4th-round pick out of Tennessee did what he did against the New England Patriots in Week 5? I mean, Devon Achane leaves the game in the first quarter with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. And Jalen Wright steps up, 13 carries, 86 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. Him and Raheem Mostert both ran for 80-plus and also helped go right down the field and have that game-winning touchdown drive late in the 4th that lasted 7.5 minutes long. And guess what? They ran the ball 11 times out of the 15 plays in that game-winning drive. It was absolutely terrific. And Jalen Wright's numbers in advanced analytics have been fantastic. 29 carries for the year, 4.8 yards per carry. That will play. 98 yards per contact, which comes out to about 3.38 yards after contact per attempt. And the stat that is the most unbelievable and mind-shattering to me, by the way, is 11 missed tackles forced. Why is that mind-shattering? Well, think about this. When you look, according to PFF's numbers this season, the number one rusher in terms of missed tackles forced is Jordan Mason, the running back for the 49ers, filling in for Christian McCaffrey. He has had 105 carries through the first 5 weeks of the season. So, if he has 25 missed tackles forced on 105 carries, well, that would obviously be more than Jalen Wright. He only has 29 carries. So, if you even it out, and I did it. I took 105 divided by 29. It came out to a specific number that I multiplied times the missed tackle force that Jalen Wright has. It comes out to 39.8 missed tackles forced. So now we're talking a very mathematical equation here, and it's obviously not going to work out like this. But if you were to hypothetically give out 105 carries to Jalen Wright, continuing his pace in terms of his missed tackle forced, he would lead the NFL through 5 weeks of the season by 15 with damn near 40 missed tackles forced. This kid is an absolute stud. He makes you miss with his physicality, his speed, his acceleration, his shifty movements. And I, for one, would like to see him still get a lot of touches in this offense, even with Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. And I think this offense will work better, by the way, using Devon Achane as a weapon instead of a lead back. So if you give maybe, if you're talking what you want me to do, a split timeshare in this backfield, I would honestly give 35% to Raheem Mostert. I'd give 35% to Jalen Wright, and then 30% to Devon Achane in terms of touches on carries. You're obviously going to use Achane a lot more in the passing game, But when you're actually talking about carries, I'm being serious when I say 35, Mostert Wright, 30% Achane. That's what I would do if I was the Miami Dolphins. Are you pumped up for the rookie running back? Because I am. It was clear they liked him in the draft when they trade a future third-round pick to get him in the 4th round. If you're with me, spam those JWs for me down in the comment section. Next bye week change. I think you're going to need the blitz more coming out of the bye week. And is this kind of because Jalen Phillips is out for the year and you don't have Bradley Chubb back yet? Absolutely. And I don't know if I've loved what I've seen from the edge rushers outside of Emmanuel Ogbah. Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell have been absolutely terrific on the interior. They've been godsends. But Chop Robinson has not been that well. Quentin Bell has not been out of the extraordinary. And then Tyus Bowser, the newest Miami Dolphin, is still trying to work his way into this defense after playing a limited amount of snaps in Week 5. And it's interesting to see where the Dolphins rank in blitz percentage this season. They blitz 26.8% of the time. That comes out to 15th in the National Football League. So they are damn near at the middle of the pack. I think I remember also seeing the lowest blitz percentage was about 16%, and the highest was about 40. So they really are snack bag in the middle. And I think there's more some defensive stats that go around this as to why the Dolphins need the blitz and create and generate more pressure. It's because they simply haven't done a lot of that early on. And even though I think the defense has been very good through 5 weeks, there's always a room for improvement, and I think it would help get more pressures on the quarterback. And I trust the secondary. I trust the back end to hold up if you send a blitz. You have only 9 sacks this year. It's tied for 25th in football. Your sack percentage on dropbacks is 6.52. It's 24th in football. The amount of pressures you have totally through 5 weeks, 81. That's 23rd in football. And your pass rush grade from PFF is 11th at 70.8. Like, you're not getting to the quarterback at an above average rate. And for this defense to take the next step, to go from being serviceable and being an above average defense to an elite defense, is hitting the quarterback and bringing him down and disrupting the pass game more than just your secondary does by blanketing some of these opposing wide receivers. And by the way, I do want to make note, some of these passing attacks that they've played are not good. The Jaguars have struggled. The Titans have struggled. The Patriots have struggled. So against better passing attacks, you're going to need to get after the quarterback more, which means you need to pressure him more, which means you need the blitz more, because when you're sending 4 players every single play, it's not working out too well so far. All right, make sure you start with Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in North America. And if you want to go see the Dolphins play, you want to go see a concert, comedy show, theater in your local area, Game Time is the best way to do that. And they're offering a great deal for the real ones here at Dolphins Today. First, let me tell you about Game Time Picks, one of their newest features that I cannot get more enough of. It's Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible great deals with thousands of tickets being pushed away. So you don't have to waste time searching through tickets. You just get the best ones available to you right away. All-in pricing, so you see the total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. Get to see your seat in the app before you buy. Panoramic views of every single venue in the app. It is the best way to purchase tickets. I'm telling you, it makes my life completely easier, and it will make yours easier as well. So download the app today. Use code Chat Sports to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First purchase only. But once again, ChatSports to get $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It's game time. I said this is one of our keys to victory against the New England Patriots in Week 5, but I think you need more under center play action. And I thought, honestly, looking back at the game, that we got more of that against New England, but they evidently didn't do it as much as I once thought. They only ran 5 under center play action passes in the first 4 weeks of the season. So obviously you're averaging, 1.25 plays per game on under center play action passes. Well, guess what? They did it twice against the New England Patriots in Week 5, and they completed both of them. Both of them were under center play action. One was a fake pitch throw over the middle of Tyreek Hill. One was a straight drop back play action throw over the middle of Tyreek Hill. They went 2 of 2 for 40 yards, both big plays. To me, they ran the ball much more effectively, which is a good thing. And if you run the ball more effectively, which means you can do play action from under center instead of only doing it from the shotgun all the time, and you can find deep plays over the middle of the field, I think that's something that needs to be incorporated more and more. And specifically with Tyler Huntley, by the way, that is a recipe for success with Huntley. He's an athletic quarterback. And if you use play action, you get him on the edge with bootlegs and stuff like that, you will be able to have a more dynamic and layered offense. Use his legs, use your running game to your advantage in the passing game as well. Get started with Tyler Huntley in the under center play action. And you need to get started with us here at Dolphins Today because we are putting out daily content here at the channel, and we are inching closer and closer to 62,000 subscribers. Live for every Dolphins game as well. Hit that sub button, join us for the rest of the season. You need to run behind Aaron Brewer and Robert Jones more. I can't believe I'm saying this. Yes, I'm actually giving some praise to the left guard center combination for Miami because they have been extremely efficient in terms of running the football when they run behind them. When you look at every direction in which Miami has ran through the first 5 weeks of the season, there is a very interesting theme here. When you run outside the left tackle, it has not gone well, 2.2 yards per carry. You run right behind the left tackle, 3.4. We'll skip over to the middle right in between the center and right guard, 3.1. Right guard, Liam Eichenberg, 3.6. You've seen actually a lot of success running behind Austin Jackson, 10 carries, 86 yards, something to keep your eye on there. But around Austin Jackson on the perimeter, only 3 yards per carry. See the numbers there. But when you look at the left guard behind Robert Jones and in between Robert Jones and Aaron Brewer in the middle left, you average 4.2, 4.5 yards per carry. So I think it's ideal that you need to run behind them more because you've seen more success behind them. And specifically thinking about Robert Jones, by the way, he's had a decent season in terms of their grades from PFF, 60.3 run blocking grade. In zone running schemes, he's had a really good grade. He's more of an athlete out there. Power schemes is where he struggles in the gap, 48.3. And he's only been whistled for 1 penalty this year, which I honestly think is very good when you think about the rest of the offensive line in terms of the running game. So he's only been whistled on 1 holding in the first 5 games of the season. I can get down with that. You name it, though. What is the one thing the Dolphins need to improve on during the bye week if they want to come out of the gate strong and win some football games? Let me know down in the comment section what it is. My final one is you need to be more sound offensively. And what do I mean by that? Well, you need to just simply be better coached and limit the mistakes of bringing you back in the penalty yardages. When you think about the offensive penalties through 5 weeks so far, you have 7 false starts, 9 holding penalties, 5 illegal shift penalties, 3 illegal formations, and then 1 illegal motion. The parts that kill me the most is not the false start and holding, because these are on the players for the most part, right? But these ones are part of coaching. Illegal shift, illegal formation, illegal motion. These things have to be locked down. All these players have to be coached perfectly to make sure in this offense that has a lot of motion, a lot of moving parts to it, that they're locked in and you don't have any issues on that front. You simply got to be better at not hurting yourself with these penalties when you're having 2 people in motion, not lined up correctly. And that's on the coaching staff. Mike McDaniel during this bye week, figure out what the issue is in terms of communication and make sure you're locked in coming out of the bye week so you don't have any of these pre-snap penalties or penalties like illegal formation and illegal shift that ultimately end up taking you out of whatever play just happened. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed. Like I said, we are putting out daily content here at the channel, and when the Dolphins retake the football field this week against the Indianapolis Colts, we'll be live for that game. Subscribe and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun for the rest of the season. Dude, I thought that was a tank. That first, I thought, he hit that and my heart, dropped. I was like, oh my God, he just hit a home run to lead the game off. Which might have been a good thing because the last time they did that, the Mets ultimately won that game. Oh, Christ. South to West saying, great show, appreciate it. I'm also fighting my own mental here, guys. The Mets and Phillies are playing a game. Most of you may know I am a diehard New York Mets fan. My dad was born in Queens, and I've taken that from that. It's been an incredible run this year, and I'm stressing out about the postseason, folks. I'm stressing out the postseason.
Nothing quite like playoff baseball, man.
No, there's nothing like it. Do you guys agree with me, though, on some of those things that I said the Dolphins need to improve on?
Or do you have something he didn't say?
Yeah.
Penalties is like such a redundant one, but especially with a team that doesn't have a lot of room for error, like especially, that's got to be a key, at least for me. So I agree with that one.
God, Lindor's a talented baseball player, man. What can you say about the kid, Francisco? It looks so out there. Oh, my God, I need to be there, dude. I'm telling you what, I'm being dead serious. If the Mets win the series, you will not be seeing me next Thursday.
Okay.
I will be in Queens.
Okay. I'm happy for you.
Be in Flushing, New York.
You not even come in early and then fly then? And then...
Oh, it will be, I'm taking PTO, flying out Thursday, getting there. Yeah. And then I'll be back on Saturday.
Sweet. Maybe this season can be turned around after all. I mean, we're, week 6 coming up? Still got a lot of football left to be played. And to be honest, like, the Bills and the Jets, if they were going to take a jump on Miami, it's right now, obviously, with Tua hurt. And the Dolphins find themselves still in the thick of it.
Yeah, they're not out of it yet, folks. They're only 2-3. It really sucks because I said this. Even with Tyler Huntley playing on 4 or 5 week or like 2 weeks of knowing the offense, I think you should have beat Tennessee at home. And if you beat Tennessee at home, like, could you imagine, Colin, if the Dolphins were 3-2 right now?
Be insane.
Like, if
So
the Dolphins were beat the Titans and were able to beat the Patriots, and they're 3-2, you have a bye week, you potentially beat the Colts, you're 4-2, and then 2 returns. Like, we're not just talking playoffs, we're talking AFC East without a question.
Let me ask you this. If you were coming into this week with Spencer Rattler as your potential QB.
Oh, gross. Yeah, by the way, I saw that there's something up with the Saints.
Yeah.
What's the diagnosis?
So
on
Derek Carr is going to be out a minimum of 2 weeks.
Oh, damn.
Spencer Rattler is expected to have a real legitimate shot at potentially getting the start.
Jake Haener sucks. You go with the fun Spencer Rattler. That's my thing. If your starting quarterback gets hurt, just go with the fun option.
Yeah.
That was the thing with me with Skylar Thompson. Like, obviously, Tyler Huntley was going to be ready to start against Seattle. It's not going to happen. But Skylar Thompson isn't fun. Have the backup that's going to be fun and that gets you wins. Get you wins.
But yeah, Derek Carr with that oblique injury expected to miss multiple games. Like I said, at least a bare minimum of 2 from the reports that I saw. And Spencer Rattler with a great chance to start for the Saints. Again, forget what you think about Spencer Rattler. If you would have taken a day 3 QB or even a day 2 QB for Miami, you feel better than throwing out Skylar Thompson or Tim Boyle.
Dude, it's so loud there.
You've been gushing.
It's chills, dude. There is actually nothing, I swear to God, like Queens baseball. Queens playoff baseball. Listen, I've only seen it happen 3 times at home, 2015, 2016 in one wild card game, and then 2022 in the wild card series. But when the Queens fans in New York City gets behind the Mets in big games, dude, it is psychotic there, dude.
I believe it. I've never been to New York. Love to visit one day, but I haven't ever been to that. Chills. Mias, what up, Rolly, and also Colin? Let's go Miami Heat Nation. Let's go Dolphins Nation. Where are y'all at? We know where we're at.
Yeah, we know where we're at.
We know where Rolly wants to be. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. I would hate to live in New York City. This is the one time where I'd like to live in New York City because I would go to every single game. I would I'm being serious. If I just knew I had to buy a ticket, I would actually go to every single playoff game.
How much do you think a ticket to this game?
Average ticket for the NLDS games for New York was $436.
Yeah.
So you could probably get in. I'd say that's. Oh, did he just go first?
Oh, Lindor.
Did he just do first tank?
Lindor. Oh,
that's pain. That's pain.
Dude, warning track fly balls are.
He looks like. I think the wind's got to be blowing in because I thought Schwarber's was gone and I thought that was gone. It's kind of funny how both leadoff hitters I thought both hit tanks.
Yeah, I mean Lindor's. I mean I didn't see Schwarber's, but Lindor's just flew off the bat. Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes, Miami Heat, Miami Marlins for life from Mr. Miami 305.
Appreciate that. All right, enough with the Mets talk. As much as I could talk about the Mets for hours, I know none of you guys want to hear about that. So let's move on to the final segment on today's show. Ooh, that's a good pitch. You root for the Mariners, yeah?
I am a Mariners guy, yes.
Tough for you. Tough for you, my friend.
Eh.
Talk about a collapse from the Mariners this year.
I
They even make a really good trade at the deadline. You get Randy Arozarena, and it just doesn't matter. That's got to be disheartening. I don't want to throw wounds or salt in the wound here, but
thanks, man.
their pitching was just so good.
Oh, it's one of the best I've ever seen. And our offense couldn't muster up runs on any given night with Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, did Julio struggle this year? Is that what
he
happened?
did. Julio's historically been like a slow starter, then he normally picks it up around the All-Star break. This year, I mean, he just was like worse than usual. Like, this was the year of Passan, I remember before the season, was like he could potentially make that jump, maybe be an MVP candidate, and it just was never the case. So, enough about that because I know y'all don't care about that, but hey, that's baseball.
Playoff baseball, nothing like it. All right, here we go. Time to get into our final segment. Trade rumors. Could a move be coming for Chris Grier during the bye week? We got some trade rumors during the bye week for the Miami Dolphins. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nick Roloff. We know the Dolphins are 2-3. The deadline is November 5th. So could they look to make a deal to strengthen this roster? Well, the reason why I think it's possible is because although some Dolphins fans think the season is over, it is not one bit. Their next 6 games coming out of the bye are very, very manageable. And if they're able to stack some wins here, that trade deadline comes right in between or right around week 9 after the Bills game. I believe it is actually right after the Bills game. Cardinals game's the 27th of October, so the Bills game will probably be the final game before the trade deadline. And if Miami's able to go 2-1, 3-0, and they're sitting here and they're like, all right, we got some momentum. Tua's coming back. It's there for the taking, man. You can really make a run. So making a trade would not surprise me if they wanted to strengthen this roster for the final 7-8 games of the season and really try to make a push for the postseason and maybe even the division crown if they somehow beat the Buffalo Bills. Which is why you need to be subscribed, because we are dropping daily videos, sometimes 2 videos a day. And if a trade actually ever happened, whether Miami acquired someone or traded away someone, we will obviously drop it and make sure you're covered. So hit that sub button, join us today. All right, we'll talk about Trey Lance here because CBS Sports actually named quarterback Trey Lance as a trade target for the Miami Dolphins. And this one was very surprising, in my opinion. CBS Sports says that Tua Tagovailoa may return. Well, he is going to return, so I don't understand that one. But it feels irresponsible to trust he'll stay upright and or safe. Coach Mike McDaniel was with the San Francisco 49ers when the dynamic but unpolished Lance was drafted high. And although that is true, and we talked about this right after the Tua injury, how Lance could be a target for Miami, I am out on Trey Lance. I would not look to acquire him because I don't think he is an NFL quarterback at this point, and I don't think he ever will be again. Let's take a look at the 2 quarterbacks, by the way, because this is Trey Lance in the 3 preseason games as a member of the Dallas Cowboys versus Tyler Huntley's 2 real NFL games this year. And you might say, well, why are you showing me this? Because it looks clear to me that Trey Lance is the better player. Well, here's something that you have to take into account. Huntley is playing in real games that matter, that defenses prepare for, and have the starters playing the entire game. In the preseason, Trey Lance does not get prepared defenses, and he is playing against third stringers for most of the game, and still threw 5 interceptions, by the way. Yeah, including all 5 in one game. I just don't think Trey Lance is that good of a quarterback, and if you had to see him play against ones and teams that prepare for him defensively, it will not go well. I'm taking Tyler Huntley over Lance. Huntley has had more experience as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. We've mentioned it. He's now 4-7 as a starter, 3-6 in Baltimore, 1-1 in Miami. So I still think Huntley has a lot to offer. And if you were to just keep starting Huntley, and if Tua comes back and then gets hurt again, and you have to turn to Huntley again, there's obviously no added time that you have to have Huntley learn the offense. No, he's already been here for a long time now. He understands everything. So he'd be able to just come in and hit the ground running. I think it's very clear that Tyler Huntley is better than Trey Lance, and I would not go with Lance, even if it costed you a 7th-round pick. I'm still going to keep Tyler Huntley. But let me know if you think differently. Pick a quarterback for me down in the comment section. Which one would you rather have on the Dolphins roster and be the Dolphins backup to Tua Tagovailoa? Type TH for Tyler Huntley, type TL for Trey Lance. All right, now I'm going to get into 2 trade targets for the Miami Dolphins that I think could be on the horizon for Miami rather than what CBS Sports thinks. And the first trade target I want to mention is an offensive lineman, Cody Whitehair, an offensive guard for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's also spent some time in Chicago over the past couple of seasons. And Whitehair's been interesting because he's actually played a decent amount in 2024 thus far. He's played 168 snaps, and his PFF numbers have not been great. He has been better in the pass game than the run game, but PFF has not been kind to the veteran. He has not allowed a sack, only 1 penalty, 8 pressures as well. But Cody Whitehair has been someone not graded as high as you would probably want if I told you that they ended up trading for someone. And I'll explain why he could be someone Miami trades for coming up in just a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time, the #1 way to get your tickets. And if you want to go see the Dolphins play in person or any other sporting event, comedy show, concert, Game Time is the way to get your tickets. And they have a great deal for all the real ones here at Dolphins Today. Game Time Picks is an awesome feature that they have that allows you to filter through the fluff and get only the great seats and the best deals available for you. They have the lowest price guaranteed. If you find a ticket on a different service in the same area, same section, same everything for a cheaper price, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They also allow you to see your seat in the app before you buy with their panoramic views. I'm telling you, Game Time's the best, and it's how I buy my tickets. I might be going to a Mets playoff game soon. I'll be purchasing my tickets on Game Time. You can guarantee that. So get started with Game Time today. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First purchase only. But once again, code CHATSPORTS when you download the app and create an account. Shout to Game Time. What time is it? It is game time. Well, I think Cody Whitehair could actually be available for trade if the Vegas Raiders deem that they like what they've seen from Jackson Powers-Johnson, the rookie from Oregon, who I also would have liked Miami to draft, by the way. He missed some time to start the year, but he has taken over that starting role for the Las Vegas Raiders and the interior offensive line. And I think you might be able to get Cody Whitehair, not for cheap, but yeah, pretty cheap. The idea that I came up with was like a 6th-round pick from Miami. I think it's very possible. And you might be asking yourself, well, if he's not that good and he's benched, why would it cost a 6th-round pick? Well, remember, a couple of years ago, the Dolphins actually traded an interior offensive lineman. I think it was Dan Feeney, if my names are correct here, to the Bears for a 6th-round pick. And I think Feeney is kind of in that same area as where Cody Whitehair is right now. So that's kind of where I'm basing my trade package for this here. And I think Whitehair is a decent option if you want some interior offensive line depth. The second trade target, we're sticking on the offensive line, man. It's the #1 thing Miami needs. And we're going to go with Daniel Brunskill, the offensive lineman from Tennessee, who kind of looks like Austin Hooper. Very interesting if you really look about it. But interior offensive lineman for Tennessee. And there's a theme here, right? I think it's very clear that the Dolphins' biggest need is on the interior offensive line. Whether it be a center, probably not, because Aaron Burr's been pretty good. More or less guard. And I don't think any of these 2 guys that were mentioned in Brunskill and Whitehair would start over Eichenberg and Robert Jones. I don't think they would, but just in case one of them got hurt, they're better than the options you have on your bench. And Brunskill's actually had a pretty solid history in the National Football League, whether it be as a starter in San Francisco or as a versatility man in Tennessee last season. His PFF grades have been pretty dang consistent. 60s every single year. Pass blocking is fluctuated, but we've seen him have some really good years where he's been graded relatively high. Run blocking, also very consistent, always in the low 60s. So he's someone that you can really trust. And he's currently not getting snaps on this Tennessee Titans offensive line, and which makes him potentially available via trade. I think he's better than Lester Cotton, man. And he's probably better than Andrew Meyer as well, the UDFA out of UTEP. I think he would be your top guy if you needed to play on the interior offensive line. Both of these trades would likely cost you late day 3 picks, a 6th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, and it can't hurt you. It really can't. What would be the negative side of adding a veteran interior offensive lineman to this group? I don't think there is one. So to me, it's just all about which potential trade target would you rather prefer. So let me know. Pick a target. If you had to pick 2 guys out of the guys that I mentioned, because there's not many offensive linemen that are decent on the trade block, because if they're good, they're not being traded. So let me know which guy you'd like for depth. Type CW for Cody Whitehair. Type DB for Daniel Brunskill. I'll be honest, I'll probably go with Daniel Brunskill. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because like I said, if any moves do happen during the bye week or at the trade deadline, we will have you covered. So hit that sub button, join us here, because we drop daily videos, and don't miss a thing surrounding your Miami Dolphins. All right, live showdown, folks. Live showdown.
Oh, man. Lulu says, let's get Robert Saleh. I don't think that would be smart for Miami.
No, that's a disaster. No. Stay away. Stay away. Please stay away.
Retro's typing his DBs.
That he is. Been live for an hour and a half here. Fun live show today, Colin.
Always a good time.
If you guys want to keep the live show going, Super Chats will do that. If not, we'll sign off here, and we'll enjoy the rest of our Tuesdays, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays, but also stay safe if you're living in South Florida or anywhere in Florida with Hurricane Milton coming. So let me know, fellas. Stay safe out there. Stay safe. We'll give it a minute.
Give it a minute.
Cullen is someone that only needs a minute for sure.
Oh, that's funny.
Growing out the beard?
No, I'm actually going to be shaving it probably before the end of this weekend. I'm trying to, I can't get it to connect, which is the annoying thing. So I'm just trying to let it grow out right now.
The rally pimp is back.
The rally pimp? Where's Grimace?
Oh, he's been here. I've seen a lot of tweets out there that the real Grimace, like actually sanctioned Grimace from McDonald's, is there. Mm-hmm. And then there's a bunch of obviously fake Grimaces as well. But
right.
This season has just been a freaking madhouse, man. It's just. Pete Alonso, baby! This freaking guy is hot! This guy is hot! He's hot, baby!
Pete Alonso enjoyer here.
All 3 home runs to the opposite field, by the way. Fuck it. I'm paying Pete Alonso. I don't care anymore. I'll pay him. He's been cold all year, Cullen, and now he's hot. God, this freaking team is awesome. All right. I'm going to go sign off and enjoy this Mets game. No one sent in a super chat anyway. Hopefully everyone has a good Tuesday. I will see you with videos the rest of the week. Next time I'll see you live is probably next Tuesday as well. Let's go, Fins.